We got some news to cover here. Kind of unexpected. We've had a lot of RTS news in general. With Stormgate in early release, Battle Aces had their beta out earlier. I'm still waiting for them to drop their beta again, or the next version of their game again. Age of Mythology's been killing it. But this was kind of a little bit of a surprise here. This is Phil Spencer wearing a StarCraft 2 t-shirt during the Xbox Tokyo Game Show in 2024, so just recently. Phil Spencer has been in charge of Xbox for a long time. I think they've done a really good job. I always felt like Xbox was, and Microsoft in general, were like a little bit behind the curve compared to like Sony or Nintendo, at least when you went into the console wars. Thank you for the sub, A-Pop. Your alert will play after I finish this piece. So, interesting, right? Why would he be wearing a StarCraft shirt? And the reason is, for one, StarCraft 1 and 2 are going to be released on the Xbox Game Pass soon. This is going to be in November. So, this is a really big deal. If you guys remember, there was a period, obviously, StarCraft 2 was not free to play. If you're watching this, you were probably one of the people that bought the game on day one. But when they made StarCraft 2 free to play at Blizzard, back when the old guard was there, it did more for the player base than anything had before. It was the second highest the player base had ever been since the game's release, according to what Blizzard told me. Which is huge. I mean, basically, usually whenever a game releases, day one is the biggest, and there's always a decline, and then you basically have to try to find your cruising altitude. Let me make this a little bit more zoomed in so you guys can actually read this. So this means we're going to have a huge influx of people for both StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2. I do feel the pain for these new people that might show up and start doing multiplayer and getting completely wrecked, but this is really good. A lot of people were speculating for a long time that one of the main reasons for Microsoft purchasing Blizzard was because of the IP, because of the fact that Microsoft has basically had an edge on Game Pass. If you don't know Game Pass, it's like having Netflix for games. You have this huge library to pick from. I personally use it. It's really nice. I don't use it for all my games. I still buy some specific games that are coming out that I'm interested in playing. But it's a big deal. And StarCraft 1 and 2 are massive games, so no doubt this is going to bring a whole bunch of new people on and familiar with the franchise. So, very cool to see. Again, kind of expected we were going to have Blizzard games brought onto the Game Pass. Remember that Blizzard games were always on the Blizzard launcher. Blizzard was that elite of a company that, just like Riot, you'd have to download their launcher and go through their channels. They didn't need to use Steam. They didn't need to use, Xbox Game Pass before. But we're basically in an arms race right now where you've got, obviously, Steam at the top, but Epic Games out there. You've got Xbox with their Game Pass. You have Sony trying to get you to sign up for their online system for PlayStation. So this is a pretty big deal. And, when you have platforms like Battle.net, which are very elite, they also don't expose that many people to games they otherwise, some people only use Steam, basically, right? Or they'll only use the Xbox Game Pass or whatever. So this will expose a lot of people to StarCraft, which I think is good. But that's not where the story ends. So we started Phil Spencer wearing a StarCraft shirt, then the announcement of StarCraft 1 and 2 going to be on the Game Pass in November. But it's all being orchestrated to get ready for what is likely, and this wasn't an announcement by Blizzard. Rumor, Blizzard developing a new StarCraft shooter. So, before I talk about the fact that this leak is big and what this means for StarCraft, I do want to say, I really hope that they do make another RTS at Blizzard and they do use the StarCraft IP. I don't think that any StarCraft game has to be an RTS. I think if you look at the success that they had with World of Warcraft, coming from, by the way, the Warcraft franchise, which was an RTS, I feel like a lot of people that even play World of Warcraft don't fully appreciate that. you've got the biggest MMO, basically, of all time. Had they actually spent more time inside their own game, they could have had Dota as well, but they dropped the ball with that. And then you've got Hearthstone, which is, again, another thing from the Warcraft universe, taking some of the card games that were played in World of Warcraft and kind of building their own model and monetizing it really well. And look, I think the StarCraft world is a cool universe. I always think about it like Aliens versus Predator. You've got a great sci-fi world. So I can't say I'm that surprised with this move. And the reality is shooting games are a safe bet. If Microsoft just bought Blizzard, and now they've kind of gutted the parts of Blizzard they don't want there, so they're more in control. I think a shooting game is a safe way to cash in, make money, and you can use that money to pay for more projects and justify future things with the IP. So I'm pretty hopeful with this. If I had to guess what this game would be like, because remember, there's a lot of different ways you could have first-person shooters, and you also already have Overwatch in with the mix. So I think, obviously, probably not a team versus team shooter. Not that you couldn't have that. Oh, you said hopefully not a live service FPS? Well, that's a good point, chat, but you got to remember, and look, there's two ways to do it. You could have like one of these Call of Duty campaign story games. People buy it, they play through it, kind of like you do with the new Doom games that come out. The Maynard's always streaming. That's one way to do it. You could have deathmatch stuff. I mean, I guess in theory, there was an Aliens versus Predator game. This is really old, but an Aliens versus Predator first-person shooter game that was fairly successful that I think had an interesting take. A-Pop in the chat says, almost guaranteed to be like Helldivers is Space Marine 2. I think 1,000%. When I played Helldivers for the first time, and I only played a little bit. I don't do that many kind of co-op games with friends. I just thought, gosh, they could have done this with StarCraft, and it would have done really well. So there's a lot that they can do here. And I do feel like cross-pollination with different titles is really helpful here. So you're going to have the games drop on Xbox. You have a whole generation of kids that did not play StarCraft 1 or StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2 is now 14 years old. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of kids that they just don't know about this world. A lot of the people that ended up watching GSL and following the StarCraft 2 scene never played StarCraft 1. People like Artosis and me, my brother, Jeff, we were the people that were kind of telling the stories of StarCraft 1 and sharing it with them. I think if you get a great shooting game, you're going to get people that really enjoy the experience. Maybe they can switch into StarCraft 1 or 2 and find fun there. So, yeah, there's a lot of different ways that this could positively impact the StarCraft franchise. Again, I hope they also do an RTS eventually. I think that Blizzard made a huge mistake with Overwatch League in that they, if you look at what Valve's done where they're kind of hands-off, they let ESL run a lot of stuff, and they're kind of free market with it. It's a bit of the opposite of what Riot is. Riot is very hands-on, very in control. They spend a lot of their own money running everything. You don't really have kind of third-party stuff on any kind of large scale with Riot games. I think Blizzard, they went more with the Riot approach. It backfired. I think a lot of the people that ran Overwatch really fucked up esports in general. It's basically been the biggest failure we've had in the last decade. But, if they were to make an RTS and they were to kind of run it in a kind of free market way where you let people kind of run their own tournaments and do their own thing and try to monetize it their own way. And I think there's a lot that can be done. It's also important to remember that with this game coming out, assuming that this is true, we don't know, okay? Assuming this is true, it's extremely important to factor in that... Wait, sorry, I just lost my train of thought here. what was I going to say? We have, oh, that's right. Okay, so with the Esports World Cup coming up around the corner, if you want to have excitement and hype around StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2, basically the Esports World Cup and all the tournaments that lead up to it, so your GSLs, your DreamHacks, all that, that would be a kind of long-form infomercial for the StarCraft franchise. If they do announce this game, whenever that would happen, I don't know when. I guess they're doing BlizzCon again, right? So it'd probably be around then. You would kind of want that ecosystem to be alive and having stuff happen, because that's going to lead into your game. So this actually could be very good for StarCraft 2 for the next year of its competitive multiplayer. And, I mean, I'm pretty hopeful in general. I don't know anything more than any of you guys do right now. So, yeah, if there is going to be a shooter game, it would make sense for them to at least be somewhat supportive of their competitive multiplayer. So this could be very good. I'm pretty hopeful for next year for StarCraft 2. I know there's a lot of kind of negativity around the future of the game. But I think that the fact that this is happening, and it appears that there is a new StarCraft shooter that might be in the works, this is good. We should also remember they tried this twice already, as this article says. Interestingly enough, I think it was in the year 2002 or 2001, I was in Korea. This is before I moved here. I was working for DJ Wheat's company, and I was in Seoul for about maybe 6 days. I had a job where I was casting. I saw StarCraft Ghost. They had it on Xbox. I didn't get to play it because I was working, but they had it like you could control a Zergling first person, at least in the model they had. It was also interesting to see Blizzard kind of going for a console game. I guess it's normal now, right? Diablo 4 is on every console, but at the time they were so PC exclusive. It looked pretty cool. We're talking Xbox One era, but it never came to be. And then there was apparently another StarCraft shooter that was in the process of being made, and it seems like they pulled the plug on that a little bit before Microsoft acquired it. I'm not sure if I have the exact timeline on this. Now, it's also, it should be noted, at the time when they pulled the plug on the second StarCraft shooter attempt, that was when it seems like all the manpower was going into Overwatch. And Overwatch has been in a kind of a bit of a doom spiral, which I think it's almost out of, by the way. I think Overwatch will finally be able to go and find its own place and size and community, and not have so much money pumped into it that it's doomed to fail in the same way. So, yeah, I'm curious if Microsoft is going to bring over people that have worked on first-person shooter titles in their other game studios and put them here, if they're going to start moving people from Overwatch into this. But it does seem like, at least with the first signal that Microsoft is giving everybody post-acquisition and cleaning the company out, more shooting games. Obviously, Overwatch is already there. Call of Duty is just, they're always going to be making Call of Duties. You can bet on that more than anything else in the world. But now they're going to try a StarCraft one. So, interesting stuff. Some of this was supposedly leaked in Jason Schreier's book, which I actually got a free digital copy of. I have not read it yet. I'm going to wait for the audiobook to come out and listen to that. But that is a book called Play Nice, which is basically a history of the rise and fall of Blizzard. So, very cool. Very cool to see. I mean, the future's interesting, man. It just keeps getting more wild. If you like this kind of content you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to like and subscribe. See this Tastosis shirt? You can get this shirt along with a bunch of other cool mugs, hoodies, mouse pads, all that at my merch shop at tastelessthreads.com. If you ever want to join me for these videos that I record live on my Twitch stream, go to twitch.tv/tastelesstv. Thank you for joining me. Stay safe out there, and I will see you in a future video.